Let's now simplify the functions. Now this g of x is kind of simplified already. Can't really simplify that further. But again, look, f of x I can simplify. I can factor the top and bottom. So let's factor the top. What's x squared minus 2x minus 8? If you remember from grade 10, you're looking for two numbers that add up to -2 and two numbers that multiply to -8. And, oops, -8. And those are probably going to be -4 and 2, if I had to guess. -4 times 2, or -4 plus 2 is -2, and -4 times 2 is -8. So yes, so here we have -x minus 4, x plus 2. So I factored the top. Good job. Let's factor the bottom. Same thing, two numbers that add up to -1 and multiply to -12. And that looks like it's going to be 3 and 4. So -4 plus 3 and -4 times 3. And yeah, that makes sense. So x minus 4 and x plus 3. Right? And if you know anything about dividing, if you have a common term on the top and bottom, common factor, you can just cancel them out. So this is just x plus 2 over x plus 3. And look at that. That looks exactly the same as this. So are they equivalent? The answer is no, they are not equivalent. But Mr. Khan, they look exactly the same. They do look exactly the same, but you need to state restrictions. And I did a whole lesson on restrictions. What are the restrictions for g of x? X cannot equal -3. What are the restrictions for f of x? X cannot equal -3. So the restrictions are exactly the same. The question is, are they exactly the same? Because remember, when you're stating restrictions, you can't do it at the final step. You have to do it at an earlier stage, which incorporates all the denominators. And in this function of f, there is another denominator, x minus 4. That means for function f, x cannot equal 4 as well. So because there is a difference in restrictions, these expressions, these functions are not exactly the same. They're very similar. They're like 99.99, like they're basically the same, except the only point that they're not the same is at this point 4. Because for function g, I can submit a value of 4 and get an answer. But for function f, I cannot input a value of x value of 4. It will give me a does not exist answer. And we're going to take a look at that right now by looking at the graph. So here, you plug in the values, you got the exact same answers, just like how I did. We simplified and we got the exact same thing. But now, if you take a look at this, if you remember from my previous lesson about holes, there is a hole at this value for function f, but there is no hole for function thing. So there appears to be a gap in the first graph. This can be verified further by using a table. And if you take a look at the table, there is an error. And this is the graph right over here with a hole. And if you have a hole, they're not the same. So just be careful. So that's the kind of trick. And I showed you the trick that the functions are almost exactly the same, but there's a little bit of trick there. All right, so we're done with this. The final thing that I wanted to go over is this right here. Simplifying expressions for area. So here you have a triangle here. And we know the area of a triangle is half times base times height, right? What's the base? Base is this value here. What's the height? Height is that value there. The area is equal to half times 2 root 3 times root 6. And this is just radicals. We've already went over this, but a lot of students, when they're given a question or like a word problem or something, they just lose their mind. They're like, oh no, I have never done this before. I'm like, nope, you have. You just don't know it yet. So what's 2 times root 6? Well, remember, there's an invisible 1 here. So that just makes 2 times 1, which is 2, and root 3 times root 6 is root 18. And now what's 1 over 2 times 2? Well, this actually just cancels out because remember it's over 1. So that's just root 18. And the final answer is to simplify. Can I simplify root 18? And yes, you can. And I've done this many times. Root 18 is the same thing as root 9 and root 2, which is just 3 root 2. And that is the final answer. So that was it. I think we've covered everything. I can do one more example with a circle, because I know circles are going to confuse people. What's the area of a circle? It's pi r squared. What's r? It's square root 2, so that's just pi root 2 squared. Remember, root 2 squared is the same thing as root 2 times root 2. So don't be confused. Oh no, I've never done exponents before. I mean, I think I went over exponent laws. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was a different class. I can't remember. But square root 2 times square root 2 is square root 4. And I know that square root 4 is a whole number, so the answer is just 2 pi. That's it. And yeah, I think that's basically it. We've covered everything. So the final thing I'm just going to mention is, remember, class, there are no quote-unquote daily assignments. You just need to take a look at the course outline and complete the quizzes and tests. And the tests I'm talking about will be posted in the assignment section, but we have not yet to have a test. So we just have quizzes based on the lessons. And there is a test on August 7th. Okay, that's going to be tomorrow. And there's a practice choice quiz not marked. So just make sure you are doing everything, completing the work. Go to content, go to quizzes. Marks are just been updated and released, so your marks should be there now for the first 3 quizzes. And yeah, good luck everyone. Bye.